afternoon, everybody. It's me again. After having a little bit of a rest from this morning's drive, here we are. Or this morning's adventure. It wasn't really a drive, was it? We had quite the adventure this morning with the live rhino capture, dehorning, and then release, which is all on YouTube if you missed it. But a lot of you didn't miss it because I'm recognizing similar names to what we had this morning. So good afternoon, Mary and Carol, Christine, Bob, Betty, and then we have Rosemary and Connie. I've said Carol and Jan. Oh my goodness, we have so many of you joining us this afternoon, which is so lovely. It's a beautiful day. I feel like we've experienced it to the full, having been up as early as 3:30 this morning. But we're Andrew and I. Andrew's on camera, by the way. Hi, Andrew. And then Gareth is on FC. But we're taking it easy this afternoon. We had a lot of herbivorous content this morning, a lot of beautiful rhino action with Kulula and Lula, who are our newest ladies on the Rietspruit Game Reserve, if you did miss this morning. They are in the boma. The boma has been zoned for the next 48 hours just to give them a moment to explore their new home, settle in, figure out, where things are. And then we will be able to just check in on them. We won't ever want to swamp them and spend too much time with them. But we did have a fantastic morning with them, and everything was seamless. It was so beautiful. I made a time post of it all, and we left home, just after 4:20. And then I checked, and our last female was off the trailer in her boma on Rietspruit at 9:30. So all in all, the rhino operation from when we had them to trim their horns, load them on the crates, get them here and offload them was a maximum of 3 hours, which is really just so fantastic for the well-being of the rhinos. Speedy, seamless, lots of fun, and Lula gave us a little bit of a show at the very end. She strutted her stuff along the fence after giving the vehicle that was pulling her trailer a very hairy eyeball. We have some fresh lion tracks on the road. I'm natting on about our rhinos, and there's fresh rhino. Well, there's good lion tracks. The lionesses, actually, all 5 of them have been found on Leopard. So these, if this looks like a lioness. Maybe not. Maybe that's not one. I'll hop off and come around. Victoria, my sound is a bit off. Carol's saying that I don't have great sound. There's an echo in my audio. Let me see if I can just jiggle some things around. How about now? My mic pack is good. I'm all connected. Okay, Andrew says for now I'm good. Will you just shout if things are not great? Thanks, Connie. Very flattering. I must say I was a bit nervous to do a conservation presentation live because there's so much at stake, and those girls, they deserve the best presentation possible. And so I'm very glad that you think that it was good. I had so much fun. I didn't know that I could speak about rhinos for as long as I did, but I could have said even more. Okay, so here's the tracks. Now this track is roughly the size of my fist. I still think it's a lioness track. What do you think, Andrew? Maybe not.
I don't know, soft sounds.
Yeah, it's really tricky in this substrate, but my gut feel is, although this one is messy. I don't know if you can get in on this one. It's very close, but this changed my opinion. If you look back at the one previously as well, I know that this sounds ridiculous, but females have a way of placing their paws and lifting them, whereas males have a way of flopping their foot down and then like almost like a swivel and a drag, and you can see that this is a little bit messier in the movement of it. Would be interesting to see. The males were found this morning kind of central northern parts of Blowbank. The females are deep in Leadwood, even further north of that. Lions weren't going to be our focus this afternoon, but we will follow these tracks. We were quite keen to see if we could catch up with the wild dogs. So I don't know. Oh, for sure. So the last ping was quite far as well onto Leadwood. Oh, the echo's gone. Good. Glad to hear that, Mary. Thank you. Let's see. Do we want to try for dogs or lions? We've got decisions to make, ladies and gents. Echo's back again. Maybe it's when I sit. Maybe I'm catching it strangely. Okay, we're gonna do some adjusting. Echo's back. Echo's gone. How about now? Back again, gone again. What do we think? At Leopard Gate. All right, I think let's try and make our way up north. It sounds like the dogs are in the north. It also sounds like it sounds like oh, we can check that. Is it the ambient mic? Is that on?
Yes,
That's exactly what it is, Mary. Why don't you come and be our camera woman? So clever. It would be actually so cool to have Mary on camera. I think she'd be really, really good at that. But for now, is this the quicker way? Don't try. Andrew's worried that if I invite Mary to come and take over camera work, that he'll be unemployed. Don't worry, Andrew, we'll keep you. Okay, just checking. Making sure we're on the right track, literally and figuratively. Sounds like Leadwood's the place to be this afternoon. We don't have to make our mind up as to whether we're interested in wild dogs or lions just yet, because it seems that both are deep in Leadwood. So let's just head in that direction. And then, is that a tortoise? No ways! We're gonna get some rain. This is cool. I haven't seen a leopard tortoise on the Rietspruit Game Reserve at all. I'm gonna try and just angle you so that you can get it. Or shall we get down? Let's get down. Andrew's saying let's get ground level, and I like it. Is this normal?
No. I'm being experimental here.
Oh, don't worry. Your job is safe. Mary says she has a very shaky hand. Andrew. Maybe come this side if you, or you can't. Okay. Andrew can't get that far. I'm not going to get too up in its space, but it's a beautiful leopard tortoise. Really nice size, probably a really decent age as well. And evidently not too worried about me. Now folks, there are some circumstances in which I would be comfortable to turn it around so you could see it, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. We're at the end of winter, and if I stress this tortoise and it releases its bursa sac of liquid, it might have no way of replenishing that, and then it could actually die from that. So that's their stress. The way that they handle stress and try and deter a predator is that they'll release the bursa sac that holds excess moisture, water. It's so cute. So there are circumstances. Generally the rule of thumb is not to touch the wildlife, but there you go. It's giving us, I think, a nice profile now. First tortoise of the season and a big one. Really cool. Of course, I did park myself in a thorn tree. Got very excited about a leopard tortoise. It's the closest thing to a leopard I've seen since I've been here as well. Gotta make do. Looks amazing. And that's about my speed, says Christine. You know, I know that they get they've got a bad rep for being slow. But they can move 1 kilometer an hour, which, okay, is quite slow, but it's not snail pace. It's not as slow as you think it is. There she is. I'm saying she because of size. I actually have no idea. I'd have to turn it upside down. Maybe a really good herpetologist would be able to tell me from this angle, but they are such cool creatures. And I don't know, I'm sure you know this, but when they're laying their eggs, what happens is that the temperature, the depth of their laying influences the sex of the hatchling. So in tortoises, the deeper they bury them, the cooler the temperature, and that will produce male offspring. The shallower the eggs, the warmer the temperature because it's closer to the surface, and those will produce female offspring. It is the direct opposite in crocodiles. Crocodiles, the deepest eggs will be females and the most superficial eggs will be males. Pretty phenomenal way to start this afternoon with a little rarity like a leopard tortoise. They always say they come out before the first rains. Let's see. If we get our first rains in the next couple of days, maybe Lula and Kalula won't be in the boma for as long as we think. You've really chosen the off-roading 4x4 path there, little one. Nice shot, Andrew. Carol, you've never heard that before? I know, it's one of those freaks of nature, these reptiles that can determine the sex of their offspring by how deep within the hole they are. But it's definitely true. Hi, Jennifer. Yeah, the tortoise will beat the hare. You know, consistency is key. I'm far more of a hare personality. I'd go big, go fast, and then crash, and then have to take a nap somewhere on the side of the road. But then I get up and I go big again. But I should learn more from the tortoise. That's something I need to apply to my life, is to be more like the tortoise than the hare. Honestly, Mary, I don't know much about alligators. I would imagine that it's safe to assume it's similar to crocodiles, but I definitely wouldn't conclusively say so. We'd have to do a little bit of research on the sex determination of hatchlings in alligators, if it is dependent on depth and whether the females or males are closer to the surface. Oh, that's a cool way. Shall we leave it? Shall we leave it and continue on the mission? The mission to get north. Undefined as to what it is we are looking for in the north. We're just going north. And once we're at our true north, we'll know, because it will either be lots of leopard tortoises, my brain being, lots, like a silly girl. But Either it'll be lions or it'll be dogs. Or it will be neither, because we'll find something like an elephant or another rhino. You never know on the Rietspruit Game Reserve. Andrew says or a leopard. I'm not really gonna, I'm just gonna hold that one very loosely. We are trying, we're really trying to settle these leopards, but first we actually have to see one before we can work on their habituation. These lion tracks do look good, but I highly doubt. We drove past where they were left this morning. So they were left on Hoofpad at the junction with Snail Lane, and that's I mean, they could have done a loop in the middle of the day, but it was quite warm in the middle of the day. So I don't know if they've moved now or if no one's driven this road this morning. Also good rhino tracks on the road. Is that black or white rhino? No. The most dominant track here is definitely the lion track. Perhaps we shall find the boys. I mean, I wouldn't complain if we found some rhinos. It seems like it's the theme of the day. Black rhino, Andrew whispers in the background. That would be really nice. I've only had 2 black rhino sightings on Rietspruit, and both have not lasted more than 20 seconds. Let me check. Oh, you did learn that, Mary. Gators were part of your life in South Florida. So you learned that it was the same. Okay, so it's the same as crocodiles then. Let's just go down and check that crip, because there's lots of good elephant and rhino tracks. It's a nice warm afternoon, so although we're going north, I must be honest with you, as much as we are going north, I'm feeling very go with the flow. So if something happens and there's something here, then we'll do that. We're just going to take what the bush gives us this afternoon. We've had such an exceptional day already that literally anything is the cherry on top of the cherry. We're just loving being out. There are fresh black rhino tracks here. I really hope we can find them. I wonder when they would have drunk. They go up to the crib here. They've carried on up here. Let's go with them. Hi Jennifer, nice of you to join us. We are heading north, perhaps towards lions and wild dogs, but we've just been a little bit derailed by beautiful black rhino tracks. I would sooner hop off my car to track a leopard that I don't know than I would to track a black rhino in this thicket. I just value my life. What can I say? Sure. There's So the black rhino tracks have actually had doves walked on them. In the meantime, there's an elephant right in front of us. So Andrew is super sharp eyes today. Mary won't be taking his job. I'm just joking. Yesterday, Gareth and I had a hair-raisingly close encounter with these elephants. And then last night they kept us awake for most of the night because they were feeding on the big tree outside my window. Where did he go? I can see his ear. I don't know how we're going to get a good angle on him. It's not going to help to go in there, I don't think. Okay, I see elephant feet. I hear elephant feeding. Seriously hear elephant feeding. There it is. Is that a good... Can you do that? Let's do that then. Stations. There's an elephant bull on Lemun Noord, just to the west of Seskanpatsate, stationary feeding. I wonder who this is. He's tall, but we've ascertained that all of our boys are tall. Funny, when we left home this afternoon, not this morning, I did not have an elephant feeling this morning, I had a rhino feeling. But when we left home this afternoon, I did think actually we were going to spend some time with the Ellies. And maybe that's because we spent a good portion of our night, like I've just mentioned, kept awake by them. It could be our big bull. The tusk on the left that I can see, I've got a very broken up partial visual through the thorns, but what I could get a tiny glimpse of, it did look like it was quite a substantial tusk, quite thick even though it's not too long. I don't know, it could be our big bull. Yeah, so yesterday when we went to bed we thought that we only had 2 bulls in camp, the younger 2 bulls in camp, and actually Andrew and Basil had to chase them before they went down to their tent after dinner. But then Gareth and I were trying to fall asleep and we couldn't fall asleep, and we opened our curtain and we had the whole herd, including Cheeky Chops. They were all feeding on the trees outside our room, and they even flushed a spotted eagle owl out. So they walked under a tree and a spotted eagle owl had been feeding on some kill beneath the tree, and the elephants flushed that out, and Cheeky Chops kind of thought, maybe I should chase it. But nobody joined him, so he didn't really chase it. There were fresher elephant tracks a bit earlier, so this guy must have done a bit of bundu bashing for a little while, because we haven't had fresh tracks on the road for a little while. Can you hear that? Can you hear the branches scraping against his body? I wonder if I can get to him via the track there, Andrew. No, probably not. It's all thick in here. Andrew's giving me a look of death. Don't do it. Don't go that way. He says he chooses life. It's a golden-tailed woodpecker somewhere here as well. We just heard it call. Like it's opening the treasure chest. Mine was terrible. Mine sounded like I didn't choose life. But we usually associate that squeak of the golden-tailed woodpecker to the opening of a treasure chest because it's gold. Just keep an eye. He's moved off into the thicket, so it's really difficult to see him, and there really is no way to penetrate this thicket here. It's quite dense. Yesterday, before they came up to our window, Gareth and I went out on a drive, and we had a very close encounter with two of the elephant bulls, to the point where their trunk was very nearly touching the inside of, there's more rhino tracks, very nearly touching the inside, like putting inside the footwell. And then Gareth gave him a Gareth doesn't say to elephants. He just clicked a little bit, and this bull glaring down at me, stepped back, and then he kind of moved off. It was a very close encounter. Very close encounter, but glad it didn't last all that long, because my adrenaline can only take me so far when an elephant's looking down at me like this. Just wanted to see, something has caught my eye in this thicket. I really don't know. No. I mean, I'm trying to see a black rhino in anything, so when you want it too desperately, you just don't get it. Male lion. Two of them. Their tracks were fresh, folks. I wanted to squeeze through there, but we might tear our... Can we just park here? Well, isn't this a fabulous afternoon? Their tracks did look very fresh. Afternoon, Mark. There's a number of lionesses around Lodge Pan. There's at least 2 Lidwood stations on Blowbank, and then there's an elephant bull, Lemun Noort, just to the west of Seskant Patsate, and I've just located 2 male lions on Seskant Patsate north of Sesate Link. They're stationary.
Copy that, thank you. I'm going to make my way to those 4 female lions at Lodge Pan. I'm about 5 to 7 minutes out.
I'm not sure how to get in there. Andrew, what do you think? All the way around? Just in here? Okay. Well, this is... Yeah, we can bundy bash, I'm not worried. This is a nice little gap. Nobody should get caught by the thorns. Okay. We're going to go to what looks like... I'm not actually sure who it is in front of us, but I'm going to this one because the lighting's nice on him. And I think that's Kinky Tail. So this will be Elvis. One of you might be able to tell me. I don't really want to be between them, so I'm just quickly going to speed up so that I'm not between them, so that they can still see each other. And that, my friends, is beauty. I didn't bring my camera. Of course I didn't bring my camera. Rookie, eh? I'm a rookie era. Where are you?
What is it? Station, I'm putting out of this prize here by Lodge Pine. They're still stationary. I'm leaving them open lock.
Do you have your binoculars?
Copy, thank you.
No. I bought my camera today.
Good man.
AKA the live
I'm
camera.
responding into the next 5 minutes.
I think it's that woodpecker, but I can't really see. The first one we saw was Elvis, yes, and this is Elvis here in front of us. Mary says woodpeckers really support your theory that very pretty birds do not have nice calls. Mary, you know, it's not just your theory, it's a pretty solid scientific theory actually. And the reason for it, there are one or two anomalies, but the reason for it is a wryneck, isn't it? Let's just get this, let's just get this bird on camera. It doesn't look like a top of the knobthorn on the left-hand side. The lines aren't going anywhere, but we might have a new bird for some of the lists. I just need to actually see it. Oh, never mind. It's a barbet. It's an acacia-pied barbet. Still cool to see. He was giving us, he was making us think he was all of the rare birds. From down here we just have a silhouette and the little call. So, but anyway, back to Mary and the rest of the scientific community's theory. Birds invest energy either into song or into display. So if they're investing their energy into display, they'll be very colorful species. They'll have features that draw mates to them. And they'll be generally just more beautiful to look at. And then if you look at less pretty birds like the larks and some of the pipits, they all have much prettier calls, but they really are nondescript little brown birds. And that's because all their energy has been placed into beautiful song. So a great example is the lilac-breasted roller. It's an exquisite bird. I actually haven't seen that many of them on Rietspruit. We don't see many of them on Rietspruit. But at least, well, the lilac-breasted roller will call. It has a terrible call.
Sounds like an aeroplane.
It sounds like an aeroplane. I'd never heard that before. That's
Taking off the prop planes.
Maybe. Yeah, it's not very, yeah, that's actually pretty good. Andrew says it sounds like a prop plane. I have to use my imagination, but I hear where he's coming from. And then even, we have out here, we have some beautiful song robins that are they have the most melodious calls, but they're also not very pretty. Elvis looks like he's had a blow wave today. It was very nice of him to lift his head and say, hey, when we got here, wasn't it? He's gone flat again. 2 nights ago, Andrew had them roaring at like 5:30. So I kind of feel like maybe we do a little loop and we come right back to them in the next 20 minutes or so to see if they're going to... Look at him, his little twitchy lip. He wasn't even looking at us and his lip was twitching. Stop now. There you go.
Was getting my bag on the edge.
Yeah. Mary says woodpeckers also put their energy into not getting concussed. That's very true. They have fantastic little tongues that help them with that as well. They wrap around the back of their brain. All right, folks. Let's let these 2 males rest a little longer. Those are giant paws. You know what I'm quite surprised by is the size of their tracks. The size of their tracks are actually not massive. I mean, they're you can see by the distinct features, like I said, the smearing of the paw, that makes it a male. But these are some of the biggest male lions I've seen, and their tracks are really would not distinguish them as such. So if you were just tracking them for the first time, or like I did now, you could be forgiven for not assuming that they were as big as they are, but they are big male lions. Okay, Andrew, let's change our game plan for the afternoon. Let's maybe do a loop. Let's check the crypts out. So let's go from here, let's go to the Lemon Reservoir, and then maybe on to Kudu Crip and do a big loop, and then come back to these males in about half an hour, 45 minutes. See if they've made any inspiring changes. Are you going to stretch? Are you going to do something? No. Twitchy lip. Kinky tail is just so much more chilled, which is the opposite of the kinky tail, the famous kinky tail of the Sabi Sands, who was Mr. T and Kinky Tail, who were part of the Waterhole coalition, who were notorious for killing over 200 lions in their time of dominance. 200 other lions. Hi. Yeah, they would kill cubs, male lions, female lions. Somebody's really got a hold of him, whether it's one of the females. I'm looking at Kinky Tail now. I mean, I know when Andrew saw him 2 nights ago, he had all this blood and scarring on blood on his face. But now you can see it's dried, and this is the life of a male lion. Even amongst your brother and your pride, there's a little bit of infighting. It happens. He could eat. He's not totally full. All good things. We just need to know to come back a little bit later. Happy? Yeah, he's waving goodbye. Bye-bye. We'll see you in half an hour, give or take. Don't do anything cool without us. It's my lion sign. I don't know what I'm doing. I do know what I'm doing, but I'm full of rubbish today. Okay, let's go on a water adventure while it's still warm. See if the crypts and the reservoirs yield anything interesting in the next half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, and then we'll come back to these male lions. Stations, I'm leaving these male lions to themselves. There's no change.
Confirm the location of those again.
They're on Seskant Patsate, just to the north of Sesate Link. I'm trying to say everything in Afrikaans, but the word link is an English word. Link. Links? Links is an Afrikaans word. It means left. A cat. A cat. Or a type of cat is a lynx, but in the Afrikaans people, they'll call it a caracal. They're not going to call it a lynx. A lynx. A lynx is more of an English word for the caracal. It's kind of a generic term because there's lots of different of lynx. I don't know if any of you actually heard Andrew's question. I'm just answering his question. He asked because we were saying lynx and lynx, which is the Afrikaans word for left, he said, isn't that also the Afrikaans word for a type of cat? And actually it's just another name for a caracal, but a lynx, I'm sure a lot of you have variations of a lynx species that you're aware of, or that you know of, or that's in your area, but we call them South Africans, particularly Afrikaners, will call them caracals. Or actually a rooikat. A rooikat, I think that's what it's called. Yeah. So many different names for one little animal that we don't see that often. Yeah, I've had some amazing caracal sightings. I think I saw the first caracal that had been seen on Mala Mala in 8 or 9 years. People thought I was crazy. But then the next day, another guide saw one in the same area, and he managed to get a quick video. So then there was proof. So I wasn't so crazy anymore. And then not long after that, Gareth actually found a mother with 2 kittens, completely different area. There's nobody at this reservoir. I'm going to have a look in this reservoir if you don't mind. I'm going to check just how... Anyway, to finish my caracal story, I subsequently found her maybe a week or 2 later. She actually only had 1 kitten when I found her. So I hope she's having great success, but I found her in the same area. The kitten was the same age, so we can assume it's roughly the same. Must be the same female. You can see there's amazing, fresh, wet elephant tracks here. So the elephants have been here. Okay. It's actually, I think only an elephant is going to be able to drink from this reservoir at the moment. The water is pretty much at this level. So kind of roughly, I can't reach it. It's maybe around here. So it's quite deep. Only an elephant's trunk is going to be able to reach in there. Maybe if a leopard wanted, in fact definitely if a leopard wanted, they could use the ladder that goes in. Leopard, leopard, leopard. We get far too excited. We need to chill. When you want something too bad, it's tricky to have it. Okay. I lost all of you in my crip expedition. Let's see what all of you have to say. Oh my goodness, Carol, I can't believe that we haven't put a lilac-breasted roller on camera on Rietspruit. It's because we haven't seen them. We need to work on that. That is very strange for me to comprehend that. So weird. We used to see them so much that you couldn't get to a sighting while the sighting was still good, because your guests would love them. Naturally, they're beautiful, you want to stop. So every 3 minutes you'd have to stop for a new lilac-breasted roller. No, Betty, I don't believe you. We definitely saw lilac-breasted rollers on Mala Mala. I'm sure of it. I'll go back and check my trip photos for you. Surely. It would be an absolute... It would be the biggest anomaly of my life if you could spend 3 days on Mala Mala and not see a lilac-breasted roller. I mean, maybe you're right. I will have to check, but... Oh, that would be quite something. Okay. Oh, a broad-billed roller. They said they saw a broad-billed roller last year. Was that with you?
Yeah.
Awesome. And I hope we get the European rollers this year. But actually it's been really tricky with the European rollers. It hasn't been easy for them. Scientists are trying to study what is stopping them, but their migratory routes seem to be totally impacted somewhere. Whoop, warthog dashed across the road. Their migratory routes seem to be interrupted somewhere, and whether they're being caught or there's weather patterns that are interfering. But last year we just didn't get very many, and the year before as well. They only arrived on the 28th of December 2 years ago. So it's been really tricky for European rollers, but I hope that this year they'll have a successful migration. You don't remember them. I'll have to look back, Betty. I'll have to. It's really challenging me. They are beautiful birds. It's not here. And it's turning into a wonderful afternoon. It has been such a perfect day. With no wind. All right, we've had kudu krip now. Nothing's drinking here at the moment. But it looks like a rhino has done his scent marking right in the middle of the open area. Can you see that? Two perfect scrapes. And then you can see the track. That's actually great. If you just keep it on the tracks where they've scraped, where the scraping ends, you can see where? This here, perfect, big white rhino bull. So actually the front foot is behind and the back foot stepped on top, but it's still a nice sized white rhino bull moving in this direction. It's quite a cheeky place to mark your territory. Take over the whole waterhole. Make sure every other male in the area knows this is his waterhole.
I believe the male lions are on second paper.
Okay. Oops, squirrel. Goodness, that squirrel ran at me. Now he's hopped into this, is it a bushveld or a raisin bush? Can you see him? Oh, perfect. We've got the arrow marked backwards on the left. We won't go to them just yet. We're going to enjoy the squirrel. And maybe that's a nut that that squirrel has preserved earlier in the season. He's gone. Oh, there's some banded mongooses up front. Banded mongooses are high on my to habituate priority list. Should we sit a little bit further back? I know that it's a while, it's quite far out for now. But let's let's pick a spot and sit. You know, it would be fantastic if we could habituate a colony of mongooses and then come and sit with them and watch their daily antics. A little bit like the meerkats in the Kalahari, mongooses can do much the same thing in terms of their tolerance and habituation for vehicles. What I'm going to do is just... Okay, so I haven't had too much banded mongoose interaction, but I know with dwarf mongooses what happens is they scatter when you're in their comfort zone, and then their curiosity overwhelms them, and they come back out onto the road and they check you out and they carry on foraging. So even now they're a little bit more nonchalant. That one's watching us. Let's just see. Banded mongoose come to camp cam very often. We must remember that, because it would be amazing if we could really settle that troop down and start, you know, filming them and getting some cool footage, but also just getting to know them, studying their little behaviors and antics. I would love to spend some time with a colony of mongooses. I won't even be fussy as to which species it is. Okay. Let's keep on keeping on. Now they went in here. I'm going to try and stop and see if we win. If I stop here and we can... Oh, there they are, there they are. Oh, they're dashing off. They're really not so tolerant of us yet. You see, bounding away.
When the log of this maize is still static, some luck.
So the banded mongoose is actually significantly bigger than that dwarf mongoose. The dwarf mongoose I used to see regularly where I was, and actually we see more banded mongooses here than I ever thought we would. They have very similar social structures, well, in terms of just the fact that it's a big group. And mongooses are actually really weird species, because there's the dwarf mongooses that are the smallest mongoose species, and they are in a big colony. And you'd think, okay, safety in numbers because they're small. You go up a size class, I'm talking about this area, there's other mongooses that fit in different points, but you go up a size class and you get the slender mongoose, and that is a solitary mongoose. The only time you'll ever see a slender mongoose with another slender mongoose is when they're mating. It's an impala. And then you go further up a size class and you get to the banded mongooses, who are again in big colonies. Is this the correct way, Andrew? No. I want to get back to the lions, but I want to do a bigger loop. This is going to take us back to Kurukrup. No, not that big. A medium loop. Yeah. Andrew and I are just discussing where we're going. So, like I was saying, so then the banded mongoose is about 1.5 to 1.7 kilograms, and that's significantly bigger than a slender mongoose, and it moves in big groups, and then you go up another class and you get the mellors and the white-tailed, which are really large mongoose species. Do we see them on Rietspruit? No. Okay, we used to see them quite regularly. And that for me also, it just makes no sense how their social structures work, but that makes them fascinating. Brent says he's seen a water mongoose on Leopard. I had a colleague who thought they saw a water mongoose on Mala Mala. They're very elusive and they're not so common in this area. So, that's a great question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you'll see them very relaxed in any context, but they are a solitary mongoose species, the water mongoose. Something small shot out from beside me. I didn't really get eyes on what it was. Andrew, aren't we in the area that you last had that flash sighting of a leopard?
Yeah, we drove down the road earlier.
Yeah, we are in this area, so who knows? We've got 2 of the big Rietspruit's big 4 in 20 minutes. Just not sure what I saw behind me. Let's just have a look. No, doesn't look like it's anything, but it did look like it. That does look like a Poole. And we had the rhino this morning, so if we got a leopard this afternoon, we would have done the big 4 on one day. Woo! I think it's a tricky thing to do here. And if you wanted the big 5, you'd have to drive the fence and cross your fingers that the buffalo farm next door has their buffaloes in the pen. Pretty serious.
Mark on Blowbunk, number 4.
Right. Almost time. And if they're not doing anything, we'll give them a minute now, because, you know, we'll start heading slowly back. Okay, so somebody's just...
Copy, thanks. I'm heading my way down there from Swim Crossings now.
Somebody's just left them. Apparently they're still sleeping, but now is a good time to head in that direction. I can feel the temperature coming off quite quickly. And they'll obviously be very sensitive to that temperature change as well. So perhaps tonight will be my night. We're gonna have to see. Such a pretty afternoon now. Stations, I'll be keen to return to the male lions as a second station following up there. Andrew's enjoying the sunset.
My lines are, there's nobody at them. I'm making my way now. I'm probably 7-8 minutes out. I'll let you know when I get there.
Oh, what's going on?
I'm on my way to my line. I'm a couple of minutes out, but I'll let you know if I find it.
There ain't no change. Just as we left them. Watch out, Andrew. Okay.
You tortoise kangaroos in the morning. Yeah, we saw that they were on the first line east of Snail Lane, but the Ngala cautioned them into the block somewhere there. Coffee.
Interesting. No, I wanted to park for the lion and the view.
I'm just getting mobile. I'm just going to go to the Pride and Lodge Pen. About 2 minutes up.
Beautiful. Victoria's with the male lions, there's no change. So it'll be cool to have them looking up with the mountain behind them. But for now, the other male is directly behind him, and so I just, on principle, am not very happy parking between two males in a coalition. Goodbye. Somebody just zoomed past. Goodbye, Carol. Oh, this says goodbye too. Actually, this is probably the hungriest I've seen them. Now they're in immaculate condition, so there's no concern, obviously, but they, for some reason, the lions on this reserve just seem to have it so easy. They always look really rotund and well fed, and this guy, he's not struggling. His tummy's not going to be grumbling, but it's a little bit more concave than I have seen them. So I'm pretty sure that they'll participate in hunts with the girls if they are with the females and the females decide that they're going to hunt. But wow, he's a real Scarface. But at the moment they're quite far from where the females are, so anticipate opportunistically, if they decide to, if they come across something that they can steal from another species, they might do that, or if there's a vulnerable animal, they could hunt that too. But at this point in their lives, their primary focus for energy expenditure is going to be protection of the pride.
I think there's 4 lead stations on Lowveld. Pride are just lying here to Lodge 10. Our lines are Sisk and South, but towards the Wandering side. Apparently there's some elephant around there. And there was a rhino on viewpoint, I think. And I think that is it. Yeah, three thanks. I'll respond to the lionesses. About 8 minutes out.
See, the flies are bothering him.
There's 2 vehicles here. I think it's that.
Oh yeah, Andrew's prompting me. He's clever. Oh. Gareth is prompting Andrew, who's prompting me because my earpiece is not working. But folks, if you want to get your hands on Andrew's amazing image of a wild dog feeding on a portion of an impala, should be on screen next to me now, so you can see that beautiful black and white image. You need to email the word feast to info@paintedDog.tv. Obviously that's only for those of you who are already our pack members. Pack members are the ones who are able to ask questions on a private live stream on YouTube, and they're also able to get a high resolution image of, well, a new one every week. So this week it's the wild dog, and it's the keyword that you need to send us is feast, because that wild dog is definitely having a feast. These wild dogs, they manage to eat better than most other wild dogs, because if they catch an impala, they only have to split it into thirds. It's not like big packs of wild dogs where they catch one impala and that might be all they catch for a morning, but there's 15 of them to share it with. So they really do feast here. Betty says, I take back what I said. On the 4th of June, we did see a lilac-breasted roller. Not real close. Oh, I'm so relieved, Betty. I was actually having a small, minor existential crisis because I thought to myself, how did I not show her her favorite bird? We used to have so many of them. Okay, so we did see one, but we didn't have a very up-close view of a lilac-breasted roller. You'll just have to come back and then I'll have to show you a real lilac-breasted roller up close. Otherwise I'll send you one of the ones I've taken. Bob, stunning photo, Andrew. It is a stunning photo. Andrew is a very talented young photographer. He's having a giggle because he said thank you in a funny accent.
I wish I was doing what these boys are.
Andrew's saying he wishes he was taking a nap, just like these guys. They seem to have no problem napping. That paw is really so big, even though your tracks are not as big as I thought they would be. His paws are huge. Yeah, that one particularly, just the angle is enormous. And he's posing, he's being a paw model.
Paw Patrol.
Oh. You know, if you just pop the camera on his face again, around his muzzle, I've been watching his muzzle since we've been here. And on his right side of the face, so when we were here previously, he was on his other side. He's rolled over. But on his right side of his face is where that lip seems to twitch. It's almost like he's got a little twitch rather than a snarl. Because, there you go, it's always on that side. And, well, always, I say that in the last 2 or 3 times I've observed him. It's been on that side. I wonder if it's not like a little muscle twitch that he has. Doesn't do it all the time, but
Maybe he's having a good dream.
maybe he is having a good dream.
Thinking about hunting all the impalas.
You see? That's not an aggressive or controlled movement. That's an uncontrolled, involuntary movement of the top lip. Yeah, agreed. Mary says it seems more like a tick than a snarl. I completely agree. Look at that. Like, that's not a... He's certainly not in response to any external stimuli in the environment. Not even the flies, because the fly... Okay, there he did his chin, but that was probably more intentional because the flies are landing there. Look at that beard. Beautiful. You need a beard comb.
Bruce on Blowbank, station number 5.
I've looked at pictures of these boys when they arrived on Rietspruit, and I mean, typical of male lions, their manes were scraggly and golden, and now you look at them and they actually have developed a really good coloration to their manes. That black on their chest and around their elbows is really indicative of powerful, dominant male lions, and actually has very strong associations with testosterone levels. So studies have been conducted where males with they actually used mannequins. They used robotic mannequins, and they put black manes on some of the robots and golden manes on other robots, and robotic lions, and you won't believe it, but lions responded submissively to the male with the same size mannequin. Everything was the same, standardized in the study, but the females were flirtatious and submissive to the males, and other males would flee from males with black manes. On the other hand, the males with the golden manes, dominant males in the area, would advance towards them and try and provoke an attack because they believed that they were stronger than the male with the golden mane. And females wouldn't flirt with and be submissive to males with golden manes. So there does seem to be a direct correlation between testosterone and the color of a male's mane. They just, I mean, they've subsequently conducted more studies. This was a while ago, so it wasn't very advanced technology, but they've conducted more studies, and it just seems to be that around 8, a male will really start looking like his darkest, and he'll continue to get dark, but around 8 you should be seeing him in his prime. These guys are around 8, aren't they? Actually, 7.5, 8, I think.
I'd be lying too.
Andrew's not entirely sure. Christine, you know what? I need to double check. Maybe Mary, or even maybe, I mean, Carol's gone now. I might have to get back to you on that, but they were about 2.5, 3 when they arrived here, and I'm pretty sure they're 7.5 now. So they've probably been here 4.5, 5 years. Obviously, they were a coalition of 3. These two definitely went darker after Max was injured. He was our dark mane originally. Wow, that's very fascinating, Mary. I wonder if they just felt that there was space in their environment for more dominance and more testosterone because he was compromised. Like, that would be one of my speculations. Otherwise, maybe he just matured a little bit faster than the rest of them, and now they've caught up. Yeah, Connie's talking about the tick, hence the name Elvis. I do like it. I think it's very funny. Hopefully long live this king. It's time for a jacket. I'm getting there. I'd always rather be warm than not warm. So funny. Now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. Little lip. I think let's give them maybe 10 more minutes. They are really so pretty. Nobody's had any success with the wild dogs this afternoon. And the lionesses are far away doing exactly the same thing. Oh, eyes are open. Where are we focusing? Legs look like they're stretching a tiny bit. Flies are starting to frustrate him. Flies start to frustrate everybody who lives here this time of the year, and it only intensifies until about March. We're not quite in the throes of fly season, which is great. He's actually far more tolerant. I'm watching lots of flies buzz around and land on him, but I think if he reacted to every single fly that was buzzing around his face, he wouldn't get any rest. So he probably just responds when they do bite him, or they do something quite irritating like fly in his ear or sit on his eye or around his nostrils, then he's not going to tolerate it. But other than that, he, for the most part, is actually quite tolerant of them. There are a few on his body too. Jennifer, you are right. Their eye colour is so beautiful. Those, it looks like there's a tick, or there's obviously his. He's got, I guess they're not teats, because a male definitely doesn't create milk from them. But then that looks like it could be a fly. And there was a tick a little lower as well. He's breathing quite heavily. Trying to cool himself down. I think, Jennifer, all of the animals out here, particularly here we go, show off, beautiful. That is the posture of the apex predator. Amazing. Yeah, I've been so taken aback by how exquisite the cheetah's eyes are on Rietspruit. They are so beautiful, and Mabai is one cub, well, her cub, with her iris has this trickle, almost like paint has spilled down in her iris. Okay, he's up. Something has caught his attention. Can I just try to get a little bit more dead on with him?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to move. Bear with me, folks. It's better. Oh, interesting. Mary's saying they're the fathers of the 4 younger females. So generally in these relocations of male lions, they're not going to do them before they're 3.5 or 4. So I think they're older than I've been told, and I can find out from Kevin and let you all know. But I think they're probably, my estimation, if I had found them in the wild, I would have probably put them around 9, just from coloration of their mane. They're in their prime, they're exerting a lot of dominance, but also they have the wisdom of they don't over panic about certain things. That sometimes you'll watch male lions pacing up and down, and yeah, I mean, that's not always the case. If there's a lot of pressure, then they have to be a little bit more on the ball. But they could be a little bit older. The females, generally what will happen is a female will come into a pseudo-estrus, and then she'll be covered by males. But she won't conceive because she wants to know, biologically her body is wired that if she's breeding with new males, she's going to have a pseudo-estrus to make them think that she's receptive so that they don't kill her. And then she won't conceive. Beautiful. But what will happen is that she's testing whether or not any other male is strong enough to come and oust him. If he roars, I'm going to go quiet. But if he's threatening, he might move past us now. I'll get back to my story in a minute. There's all good signs of activity. Oh. Pinky Tail's also sitting up behind us. We're just not in a position to have both of them in the shot. So we'll focus on this guy, Elvis, and watch him, and hopefully what will happen is they'll move towards each other, and then maybe they'll go on a territorial patrol. Anyway, to get back to what I was saying just now is that male lions, females will come into a pseudo-estrus, they won't conceive, and the reason for that mechanism is so that in the takeover stage where males are taking over a pride, there's a lot of instability, and that instability is exacerbated by the fact that other males want to take over the pride too. And so until a male coalition can really hold ground and the females are convinced that they are going to be the next dominant males, or at least semi-convinced, they will keep having pseudo-estruses and not actually conceive, because the process of having cubs is very energy expensive for the females, and that will mean that if they lose their cub, they want to try and avoid losing cubs. And the best way to avoid losing cubs is to have the male lions remain dominant for 2 or 3 years after you've had your cubs. So these females would have had a pseudo-estrus.
All stations, we've had a report from a Leadwood resident that the wild dogs are at Leadwood Dam.
Oh, nice. They've just found the dogs, but now they're on the other side of the property, so we won't get there this evening. So these females would have had a pseudo-estrus and not conceived, and then that process could take 3 or 4 months. Then they would have had a true estrus and conceived.
Thanks for that brief. I'm going to respond.
And then their gestation is 90 to 100 days, so another 3 months. So I would say if these boys arrived at 2.5, they were probably at least 3, if not 3.5, before those cubs were born. So if those cubs are 5 years old, that would make them 8.5. It was a long way around, but I'm pretty sure we've got the dates now. All the while having a really good show with this male lion.
Leaving the lock of the 5 male lionesses at Lodge Pan unattended.
5 male lionesses on the radio. We all make radio mistakes. We have to have grace. Andrew says he's done the exact same thing before. Male lionesses.
And then Kevin was like, let me know when you find it. Male lionesses.
Yeah. Oh.
Thanks. I'll also respond to the wild dog about 12 minutes.
He's got a lot of floppy hair around his ears, doesn't he? Who usually starts the roaring around here, Andrew? Usually in a coalition. There's one male that will set the coalition off every night. Not sure. That's okay. We'll figure it out over time. If they ever roar for us, we'll figure it out over time. That is an amazing shot. Good job, Andrew. Just, it's a bit grumbly. What's happening? I've officially been here for a month and now I have been serenaded in. That is so cool and so worth the wait. Amazing. And all the while the other male just remained completely quiet. So I'm so glad we had this guy in focus. That is so awesome. It's a seriously special feeling to sit with male lions when they're roaring. You can feel it through your feet and it reverberates through your entire body. Mary says that look at the end that says, "Is that what you wanted?" That is exactly what we wanted. Fantastic. Usually when they start, they carry on a few times. That was amazing. Now that's actually such an important call. The lionesses now know where the males are. The males next door now know which part of the territory these males are in. And so it has multi-purpose, that roar. One of the purposes is to ward off intruders, to say this territory is occupied. Another purpose is to let the females know we're still protecting you, even though we're not currently with you. And this is where we are if you'd like to come and visit us. And another purpose would be if they were separated, they would use the roar, because each roar is distinctive. When you live and work in a reserve, you actually are able to, eventually are able to identify male lions by their individual roars within a certain proximity. Not when they're far away, but when they're within, I'd say less than 2 Ks, you can figure out, okay, I know whose roar that is. You got to pay attention. You've got to pay attention. You've got to pick up the nuances when you're sitting with them and listening to them roaring. This guy has a little bit of what sounds like a smoker's roar. He goes, "Whoa, whoa," and he like pushes out a little bit more at the end. I don't have the depth to be able to create that noise. Thank you very much. Is that a wink? Not really. Maybe he'll get up and join his brother. Nope, brother's also gone totally flat. Usually the rule of thumb is that when they start roaring, you can kind of give them 10 minutes between roars. And we're on minute number 3 since he last roared. I wonder how predictable he'll be this evening. But the angle Andrew's got now really showcases that dark mane, especially from around the chest and elbows. Twitch. Their hearing is so much more acute than ours. So even though we might not hear lions roaring on properties around us, so even though we can't hear roaring, if he hears roaring on the neighboring reserves, he'll probably respond to that as well. Oh, shame, it sounds like they can't find those wild dogs. They got a report of them, but unfortunately with wild dogs, if you're not with them, they can get away from you quite quickly. I thought I heard the male behind us make a tiny little but there's been nothing further. Perhaps I'll put myself over there and then we can look. We can at least have the option of both should one of them, yeah, then we have 100% chance of catching it. I will stop. I will not.
I think there's 3 stations on Lowveld. There's a couple of us around Leopard looking for these dogs that have been seen, but we haven't found them yet. Lioness is installed at Lunchpan.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Elvis. Well, I'm going to ask Andrew to put the camera back on Elvis, just because with the view behind him, that's pretty spectacular. But we have now got view of both of them. So we have the one on the left, and if maybe just move it just, yeah. So, and the one on the right. Then you get a good idea of where they both are.
Anywhere you want me to look. You never know with the dogs, so just keep your eyes open. If you see animals running, that's a good clue.
So cheeky. That's basically what we just said. I don't know if you could hear the radio there, folks. But on the radio they just said, you never know with wild dogs where they could have gone.
I've got them on Contractors Road. They're heading up towards Edward Drive from that link between the two.
Okay, sounds like they did find them eventually. Right, maybe we have time for a quiz. This should be a rudimentary quiz, but what is the name of the mountain range behind that male lion? Mary for wildlife. I love Kevin. Kevin is hysterical, especially when he tells people if you see animals running, that's a good indication that the wild dogs are there. On the radio. It's quite funny. Okay, so quiz time. What is the name of the mountain range behind this male lion? It's a very simple question, but I got to get into these quizzes. I got to figure out your level here. Oh, he's up. Just like that. Mary's very close. She says dragon's back. Very, very close. Anybody?
One on Leopard Drive now, near the wildebeest.
This male lion's quite alert now. His brother couldn't care less, but he's very alert. So the mountain range behind this male lion is the Drakensberg or Berg. It directly translates to the Dragon's Mountains. And it's actually the northern Drakensberg. It's part of a much, there you go, Betty, part of a much wider or longer mountain range, but it's not technically adjoined to the central Drakensberg, which is the more famous portion of the Drakensberg that people travel to in South Africa. This section is the northern Drakensberg, and there's actually an area where there's a bit of a break and they don't continue, but it's the same mountain range. So we call this the northern Drakensberg. He's got an intent focus, doesn't he? He's very, very intent. His mane is so beautiful. Folks, I hate to say I told you so, but that was 10 minutes on the button. And so worth it. That was incredible. Wow, that makes me feel all of the feelings, especially after such an exceptional day. A day where you feel like you've made a difference with the moving of the 2 females, the rhino cows today. And then you end the day with the serenade of the king of the jungle. We do have a very, very, very special life out here. That is everything I could have wanted and more. And so kind of his brother to join him for reinforcement. But we watched how his focus was quite intent. He stared in a direction, his ears were pricked in one direction. I'm sure he was hearing lions on the other reserve next door, and then responding just by saying, okay, I hear you, we're also here, we're holding our ground too. It's such a special way to end the night. And it's not over yet. Perhaps we should leave them and drive. We're not too far from where we had those fresh black rhino tracks. Leave them and bypass that crip again. Obviously their tracks are probably from earlier today. They might have drunk and might not go back, but that is where I've seen them before. So maybe just with the last 15 minutes of drive, let's leave these male lions. They have put on a spectacular performance for us, and head towards the last area of the black rhino tracks from the beginning of game drive. What do you think? What do you think, Andrew?
Sounds perfect.
Andrew says it sounds perfect.
Wow.
Wow. That was not an original one. Don't give me any credit. Okay, watch out. Stations, I'm leaving the two male lions to themselves, same position. They are roaring regularly now. Although we're putting a jumper on, it's not a bitingly cold evening. I think we're teaching the edge now between that winter nip and falling headfirst into summer heat. Okay, black rhino or leopard. Let's find one. Yeah.
To approach those wild dog sighting to the west channel, we need an open channel to control it.
I suppose it's selfish to want to see a black rhino or a leopard after the day we've had. But a girl can try. Let me zip up. I need to zip up. I thought I could do it while I was driving. Andrew's having a giggle because couldn't. Let's just make sure you can all hear me. It's not quite time for the spotlight, but in a few minutes it will be. And then it will take us into the night zone. Also, as we head towards the riverbed now, yeah, that's so cool. Good job. Andrew's just marveling at the vista. But as we head into the drainage line now, it actually is going to get darker because there's a lot more tree cover. What a night. Okay, let's carry on. There's something about nightfall that seems to hush me into silence. I don't really know what it is, but whenever my spotlight's on, my focus zones in. And I get particularly hopeful for something like leopard or a black rhino. Alright, I just want to check where I'm going. Okay. Through the dip slit here. There's something big and grey ahead of me. I don't know if it's an elephant or a rhino or a rock. What is this? Oh, it's a termite mound. It's just sand. Damn. Look at it. It's so convincing. I actually thought it was the herd, the elephant herd. Because they have been hanging around. Is that number Crunkle? No. This way, no. Yeah, that's that beautiful drainage line along the dip slit that I do love. I do think it will be good for leopards as well. You're bracing yourself. Oh, apparently we are about to drive Andrew's least favourite road.
It's the kidney killer.
Andrew calls it the kidney killer. It is a bouncy one, actually.
Just a tad.
No pain, no gain. If you want to find a leopard or a black rhino, Andrew, we got to put the time in. We got to do the bumpy roads, the roads less travelled.
Bring it.
Okay, is it this one?
Yeah, straight.
What does this take us to? The fence?
Yeah. Just to the west of the fence line.
Also a kidney killer. Let's check what you all are saying quickly. We will want that termite mound when it's time for the alates to take flight. You're right, Mary. Again, both of them for both of you. Thanks, Christine. Yeah, Mary makes a good point. It's not going to be too long once we get the rain. It's not going to be too long before we get the alate emergence from the termite mounds. And then all the birds and the mesocarnivores and everything flocks to the termite mounds because they want to eat all the termite alates. Now, the alate is the reproductive offspring of a termite mound. They have to fly before they can breed. It's a strategy that they have to make sure that they don't outcompete their mother, the queen, and don't just breed and burrow right there. So it doesn't actually matter whether they call it the nuptial flight. It doesn't matter whether the nuptial flight is 3 or 4 meters, so maybe like, let's say, a couple of feet, or whether it's kilometers. So long as they have flown and taken flight, they will be able to breed. Their wings will drop off as soon, and they'll only actually ever have one flight in their life. But it's a really important flight because before they've flown, they are sterile. After they've flown, they are ready to start their own colony. How are the kidneys doing back there, Andrew? Andrew says his kidneys need to be replaced. I thought he was being dramatic, but then we hit that bump. Maybe he's right. Let me quickly check again. Make sure. Make sure none of you are saying anything interesting that I'm missing. But I think everybody's just soaking up the beautiful evening. Yeehaw. Oof, it's a little bit smoother for a minute. Pardon? Which way? This way. Definitely this way. You know, I have only driven this road once before and it was in broad daylight. And I'm pretty sure I know my way. I'm feeling very confident on the reserve these days. Obviously, I don't know it like the back of my hand just yet. But I'll get there. I feel already like I'm getting there, so there is progress. We all good?
Yeah.
Come on, last minute Leopard. Make my month. Pop out on the road for us. Our night falls so quickly, Christine. I think it does have to do with the mountains. But it's bright, like you don't need a light at all. And then a minute later it's dark. We have a very quick nightfall. We don't have a prolonged dusk period, especially not this time of the year. Thank you, Bob. It was a fun drive. Thank you to everybody, really. I think we've got a few thanks here. Thanks from Betty as well. It was a fun one this evening. It's a fun one every evening. Even the morning Zooms are, in fact, I really love the morning Zooms. I think I've become a little bit selfish with them. I don't know when last one of the boys got up early. They think I'm drawing the short straw for the morning Zooms, but I don't mind it at all. That's why I beat them on the bird drive. My secret weapon was the mornings. Oopsie. All good? What do we drop? Let's stop. Dropping a phone is never clever because it can bounce off the car very quickly. Got it.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Where does that go? The old windmill. What's Gareth saying? Oh, now. Don't tell me, Andrew. I must check the junction so that I learn. Thank you, Christine. Have I said thank you, Christine? I'm not sure. I may very well have. Which one's nicer, Andrew? They get us.
Neither.
Okay, tell me which one you prefer to go down. Huispad or Mambakronkel? Huispad. Okay. Everybody, it has been a joy. It has been an absolute joy to spend both the morning and the afternoon with you and see all the diversity of the Rietspruit Game Reserve. We are going to bounce our way back home, and you all must have fantastic days, fantastic nights, depending on where you are in the world and what time of day it is. We will see you tomorrow if you're on the Zoom drive, otherwise Friday, same time, same place. Goodbye.